Hello, everyone. Welcome to Think About It. Today, we're going to dive into some top complaints we get in here in the industry of submetering and in utility billing. And so, if you've ever had customer service issues, if you've had utility billing offsets of weird things happening, long-term repairs, this podcast is for you. Today, we're going to dive into all those types of things. So, grab you a coffee, get you a muffin, have a seat, and let's think about it. James, good to see you, my friend. How's your Friday going?
Pretty good. Got my neck and back cracked, so I'm fine. As long as
What-
I don't move.
Little chiropractor action this morning?
That's right.
Yeah, crack, snackle, and pop kind of thing.
And I rewarded myself with a smoothie afterwards.
Nice. Well, you didn't bring me no smoothie. What's up with that,
It's gone.
man?
Sorry.
So, James, you and I had a phone call Monday night, a Zoom call with a property that were looking for some services and billing, and they hit on. The reason we kind of started the day's topic, what we're doing about, is because they hit all those questions that we're talking about, all those complaints that we hear on a regular basis. They hit every one. You want to elaborate a little bit on the phone call that some of the things you heard from them? We'll kind of go through one by one some of those scenarios.
Yeah. Oh, well, one of the situations was they would send multiple emails with no response. Try to call in, make a phone call, leave a message for somebody. But basically, it was the emails.
So this goes back to customer service, right?
Yeah.
Having a good customer service. And one of the things I heard them say was they've emails, phone calls, they wouldn't get return calls back.
Yeah, and I know that I chimed in and said, look, every time the day that I get a call, the day that I get an email, I'm responding as quickly as possible. I mean, if I'm in the office, they're getting a response within the next hour or two. So, I mean, even if I can't look at their account right off the bat, I say, look, thank you for emailing me. I will look at your situation and get back to you within the next day or two.
Sure.
And a lot of times it's quicker than that,
Yeah, I'm pretty good about responding to emails, and if I'm not, I try to get to it pretty quickly. But no response is just not an option. And customer service is probably one of the biggest things we hear about talking to people. How it just doesn't exist in the world with the companies we're dealing with. And I don't know if it's that way across all the board, but I know a lot of companies I deal with. When we're out there dealing with the tenants and dealing with the project managers, these are some of the things we hear all the time. And I work for all kinds of different building companies, so I think it's a big problem in our industry about delivering good customer service. And I think not only that, it's good trained customer service to really understand what they're dealing. It's one thing to know customer service, but if you don't know nothing about what you're dealing with, that's another problem, right? If they're calling in asking, "Hey, I got a high water bill," and you don't really know how to research that information to determine whether it's a legit bill or was it something happening, without knowing that knowledge, they don't really have a good sense of how to help the customer.
Well, this is not sub-metering, but just, a week and a half ago, I called for to switch trash companies. They had a great door-to-door deal, saving a lot of money every quarter. And so I called, and the lady took my information, and she said she would give my information to the residential department. Well, I had to call yesterday because it had been a week since I heard from them. So I had to call back, and they said, nobody got back to you. No, nobody got back to me. That's why I'm following up. So within an hour, I received an email about the new contract. I was able to take care of it.
Yeah.
But to have to call back somebody on that other end, and that's not just sub-metering. I think it's just customer service all around.
Yeah,
It's
for
just somebody on the other end, there's a disconnect. Maybe just somebody's not caring, or okay, maybe they're out sick for the day. Maybe they were on vacation. But it just happens too often.
It's way too often. I know one of the other things they talked about and this is very common we hear is long wait times to get any kind of repair work done. And one of the things they talk about is the current company they're using. Obviously, they're not involved. They're not in Florida. This is places located in St. Petersburg. They're building companies in a different state. And when they asked about repairs, they don't even have technicians in this area to even service them, right? So either they have to fly somebody in or find a subcontractor maybe in their area to do it. And this is one of the issues that we see and what we're doing differently, right? So when you have a company that's not located in your state, and I just promise you, you're not going to get good service when it comes to repairs and that sort of thing because they don't have anybody in your area. So either they got to fly somebody out, and they're not going to fly somebody out if there's only a couple, three units issues because it's no cost in that, right? Or the cost is not cost effective. So they have to either wait till other properties have issues and kind of pair, a group together so they can go out there and make it cost effective to go. So that means you're as a customer, you're going to wait. Or they're going to all call you and say, "Hey, would you be willing to make the repairs for us," or something like that, which that's okay, I guess, if you're okay to willing to do that. But if you're paying for someone to come out and repair and you can't get anyone for months and months and months, probably not going to go well.
Well, a personal scenario that I had to deal with at one of the companies I worked with was that exact scenario about, well, there's only a few units. You know, it's like a 200 unit complex. It's several states away. And so they're asking me, would you call them to see if we can just ship the replacement product and see if their maintenance man can do it?
Mhm.
Well, first off, I had a bad feeling. First, we're supposed to be servicing them for one.
Yeah.
So you're trying to take another route because you're not going to wait a long time to send somebody out there just for 2 or 3 units. But here's the deal: there's a contract signed stating that we would be providing service, not just billing services, but
Actual
service.
Yeah.
And so when you're sending equipment, hoping that the maintenance man will do a good job, you still have to have somebody in the technical services department to be there when either the meters changed or the transceivers changed out, so that when they ping it, somebody in tech services is going to be there.
Yeah, you got to watch and
At that moment.
basically be with them as they're doing it, so you can make sure everything's installed correctly and make sure everything's working before they walk.
So it still takes a coordinated effort.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I've done that with properties, only because, we didn't have anybody in that area. So, we would ask them, hey, if you'd be willing to, we'd be willing to send you the parts if you're willing to help us out on that end. And it's okay, but it still provides, you have to provide some sort of customer service on the back end for that as well. So I guess it's a fix, but it's not what you signed up for, right?
To me, it's not providing the service that you're promising according to a contract.
Correct.
Now, remember, when we mentioned 4 to 6 weeks in that call on Monday, that struck a nerve because they weren't even getting that.
No.
And 4 to 6 weeks is what I was used to telling folks as a time frame. And especially if we're local, you shouldn't be doing 4 to 6 weeks.
No, I would think you should be able to get somebody within a few days, a week at the most if you're backed up. But again, this is the problems that we deal with in this industry. And because everybody's spread out, like if you're located in Utah, let's just say, and you're doing work in Florida, well, most times they don't have techs here and they're not going to, unless they have a lot of properties here to warrant to have somebody in that state. So a lot of times they either have to fly somebody out from where they're at, fly them around, or like I said, find some contractors. And there's not a lot of us out here to do that. So it's just not a good fit. So this is one of the things we're working on, and we'll address what we're doing differently than these people. One of the other things they brought up to us was their bills being messed up. And then when they were messed up, they couldn't get somebody to figure out how to fix them. And I found that a lot too, where they'll send out bad bills. I don't know if they have a bad audit issue or if their software generated some bad billing. I'm not really sure, but we run into this a lot. And then when you call customer service to try to get it fixed, this goes back to customer service training. They really don't know what to do.
Yeah. Taking multiple calls. I remember telling them, are you sure whether or not the bill was estimated or not?
Yeah,
that set them off too, because I know that there's companies that send out invoices that don't state estimate on it.
Yeah, that's a big problem
unless
too.
they call in. And then here's the number one issue. And I dealt with this as an account manager. Why wasn't I told that my bill was an estimate? Well, at MeterLink, we want to be completely transparent. If it's estimated, it's estimated.
Correct.
But we're also going to be able to offer a solution. Look, do you want this fixed?
Like, we all understand things happen, especially when dealing with technology. So we understand that estimating a bill may have to happen from time to time if, with just weird scenarios. But you should at least be transparent enough to say, hey, this bill is estimated. So you understand. So when the tenant gets it, the project manager understands that this bill was estimated and it's based off your previous usage. We couldn't get a read this month because the transmitter was down or whatever the reason may be. As long as you're being upfront with the customer, and this goes back to our last thing that they brought up was transparency. They didn't have any. Not transparent about their bills, not transparent about the money they're charging. They weren't transparent about anything. And I think being transparent with your customers about the fees you're charging, if you're having an estimated bill this month, let them know what we're doing it and why we're doing it. I think all those things go a long way with these people. And if you don't, this is what you're going to get. And I get these same complaints. It seem like it's just over and over and over and over.
And if you remember from the conversation we had with them on Monday, this is not their first go around with a billing company.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone through several billing companies over the 20 years they've had sub-meters on this property.
Yeah.
And so here we're coming along just trying to say, look, we've gone through these scenarios and we gave some scenarios. I myself did, just from a customer service standpoint and an account management standpoint in dealing with property management, not knowing what's going on their property.
Yeah.
So I think that spoke volumes to say, look, we're not, you can tell the difference between somebody who's giving you a sales pitch versus somebody who's just coming along saying, we've seen these scenarios.
Yes.
And we're part of that. Look, your integrity meter. Okay. So you're specifically focused on, installing the equipment and servicing it.
Mhm.
MeterLink Solutions is specifically the billing company. We're going to specialize with the bills.
Correct.
I'm not going to try to work with service. I'm going to coordinate with you so that you do what you do best and we do what we do best.
So one of the things, James, that we talked about doing that's doing things differently is because we're separated. You're your own company, I'm my own thing, but we're partnered together to provide a different type of service and a better service in my mind. And that's because integrity, we're focused in our local backyard. We have 2 locations, one in Tampa Bay and one out in the Phoenix area. So we're really trying to focus to be able to service those areas. There's a lot of apartments and things in those areas. So I don't personally want to go out and try to find places in California or New York because it's a lot of travel expenses involved. When there's a lot of people right here in our backyard that need our service. So when I can provide a local service, it's much easier to provide a good service to those people than when I'm trying to fly across the country to do that. And one of the other things that we're going to be doing that they don't do is we're partnering up with somebody that specializes in billing. So I'm not focused on billing. That's not what I do, but I do consult. I do service and repairs and installations in the submetering world. And so that's what I specialize in. You lean on over on that side and I lean on you when it comes to the billing side. And one thing we both have in common is we want to provide what? Great customer service.
I'll put it to you this way because you're wearing a Bucks hat.
Yeah.
You have specialists on offense, you have specialists on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Offense focus on what they need to do. They don't try to interfere with defense. The defense focuses on defense, and you have players that are specific to that. And I know that there've been guys like the Fridge who's, I'm not talking about those special situations where you bring in a 300-pound linebacker.
I understand.
But for the most part, when you're focused on what you do best, it's going to work better. It's going to work better.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes, you got teams with better defenses and offense. I don't want to get into all that kind of stuff. But what I just wanted to make the analogy of you've got specialists on offense, you have specialists on defense. Those guys are trained to do what they need to do to make their team better. This is what we're doing to make our teams better.
Yes.
And focusing on what I'm not a technician. I'm not even going to try to be. Do I have some knowledge in that area? Yes. But I'm not an expert. I can't troubleshoot like you can.
Sure.
Likewise, I can handle customer service accounts that I know that you can't handle. I can write letters that I know you probably can't handle. You're not used to writing massive letters or BBB complaints and responding to that.
Sure.
Let alone working in the billing department and knowing the ins and outs of the software.
And that's why I like this fit. I don't have to focus on those things. You don't have to focus on my things. We focus on what we're good at, and then we go out and tackle and get these things handled. And our customers so far that we've had, as we get the response of like, you guys are so responsive. You guys are here quickly. You handle your situation. And if there's something that we couldn't handle or we couldn't get it done, we'll communicate, hey, we couldn't do this, and here's why. And here's what we need to do to get it resolved. So we always provide a solution, even when we can't make a repair or fix something for them. So I think this, like I said, communication to your partners, being transparent with your partners, try to provide the best customer service and being responsive to that. That's going to make the biggest difference in the world with your customers if you can do those things. And I think we found that the people that we've been dealing with and seeing out there, they're good at certain things, but they're not good at some things. And when it shows, because either they're complaining about what you didn't do. They never say, hey, you did good, James. They just say, you didn't do this right? They never tell you what you do good. They always tell you what you do bad. So if you can fix the problems that are saying that you're doing bad, then you'll have a much better, partnership with your clients, and you don't have compliance complaining. Like, cause I'm just a subcontractor, right? So I walk in and I'm doing work for another billing company and I'm having to hear them vent to me about their billing company, which I have nothing to do with. I don't even know what they do. I don't know their practices. I just hear a lot of complaining. And I hate to hear that in our industry, but that's one of the reasons why you and I have done what we've done, so that we can provide something a little different. Well, I won't say a little, I think it's a lot different than what you're seeing out there now. We're trying to change the industry with our perspective and our angles to bring to the forefront and to be honest with our customers, so that we can build something that we're proud of, something that we can feel like we have integrity in, right? Because if you're not telling your customers the truth, what integrity do you have, right?
Well, even doing the podcast is something that we feel that this is completely different in the industry. Because we're approaching people that, not everybody's going to be in sub-metering, but people can definitely relate to customer service issues. And some of the fixes that we have, even just responding to people, that could be done across the board. I mean, maybe somebody's listening that they run a mechanic shop, and one of the complaints they get from their customers is that the people don't respond. Well, you can make a change.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm glad we talked about this today, James, because these are some of the things we deal with on a normal. And I want people to understand that, we understand your complaints. We understand we hear you. We understand, and we're trying to provide you something that you haven't gotten before. or you're going to get way better than maybe you've had before. So we appreciate you guys tuning in this week. Please come back to us if you have any topics you'd like for us to talk about. If you have any information you would like for us to answer for you, anything you got, please send us our way. I'll provide those email and links here on the podcast for you guys to be able to do that. But we really do appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. We're going to be talking about a lot of things with AI and music and just all kinds of different things. James, is there anything you want to add? Anything we want to talk about before we get off the air today?
No, I would tell you just this in closing, dealing with customers. There's a lot of times I've dealt with a lot of folks that had hard times. People that, the lady forgot to pay her water bill for 3 months because husband was in the hospital. So there's grace given as far as removing some late fees.
Yeah.
Showing empathy is just as important. Now, there was another lady, she was up in Virginia, Mrs. Mills. I still remember her name. She had a problem with her water bill. It was a long time estimate, but the system was spitting out higher estimated bills than what she could afford to pay. So I made sure that her bill was at a certain level every month. And next thing I know, she's sending me Christmas cards. She would call every now and then just to see how I'm doing with my family. She was just grateful that somebody on the other end cared.
Well, I always try to treat the person on the other end of the phone, treat them as if I'd want to be treated, right? And or treat the person like I get your mom. Hopefully you have a good mom, because I've seen some people treat their moms badly, but treat them like you're with respect, and it goes a long way. I'm just telling you. I mean, I've had the same kind of result like you have, where you help one person and they just because you took the extra step to make them happy. Get cards from them. I've gotten gifts like this. I had one lady offer me, "Hey, I got this TV here. Would you want it?" Like, I mean, I appreciate I don't really watch TV, but I mean, they really do appreciate, especially these folks that are on fixed incomes, and every dollar counts. So when they have bad bills or bad issues like that, if you can go and fix it for them and make it right, they really, really happy about it.
It makes you feel good knowing that you're helping people too.
So you guys, just so you understand, we really care about what we do here. We really want to provide you guys with the best service and the best billing service that we possibly can. Obviously, we're human. We're going to make some mistakes, but what we do is own what we do, and we provide you with the truth and something that what you're getting is what you're getting. So we appreciate you guys tuning in this week. Come back next week. We're going to be talking about some cool things with AI, some music, and some other things we have coming with sub-metering. So again, we thank you for appreciating you being with here today, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Take care.